Okay, this is a movie review. I'm going to review the 1959 movie Imitation of Life, and let's just go through briefly the details about the cast. Directed by Douglas Sirk, screenplay by Eleanor Griffin and Alan Scott. It's based on a novel by Fanny Hurst called Imitation of Life. In the cast, in the lead role is Lana Turner. She plays Laura Meredith. Juanita Moore plays Annie Johnson. John Gavin plays Steve Archer. Sandra Dee is Laura Meredith's daughter, Susie, aged about 16. Susan Cochner plays Sarah Jane. She's about 18. And Robert Alder plays Alan Loomis. And Dan O'Herlihy is played by David Edwards. And there are a couple of children who take on the roles of Sarah Jane and Susie. So there we have the intro. Let's get on to some details now about the plot and my interpretation of it. Imitation of Life. It's set in America. The first scene, we find a very, very crowded Coney Island beach scene, absolutely packed, and Laura is frantically looking for her daughter amidst the crowd. She finally finds her, and her daughter's been taken care of by Annie, who's African American, and this epitomizes really the racially divided country that the America was at the time. But contrastingly, the two children are playing happily, unlike what was happening in the wider, more political sense, with a lot of unrest. Annie and her daughter are then invited to Laura's house. They become friends, and Annie and daughter actually start to reside there. And we can see that there's a clear focus in the script about the racial differences. We note the children playing with black dolls and white dolls. And running side by side with this is the plot story about Laura, who's on the fringe of the entertainment business. She wants to be an actress. She gets a modelling job in New York City, but things don't go that well. But she does meet a man called Steve, who she'd come across on the beach at the time that she met with Annie. And Steve took some photographs of the family. And a sort of a romantic relationship starts to develop. Laura's obsession for fame leads to a slowly drifting apart with Steve, but she does eventually meet Alan Loomis, who's involved in the industry, and he helps her get a part in a theatre production, a play written by Edwards. And success follows, launching her career, initially in theatre, in comedies. As I said, her relationship with Steve wanes somewhat as career takes priority. And also her mothering towards her child tends to diminish. And Annie takes over in being the sort of major carer for her child. And this enables the daughter of Annie to become more and more aware of her colour, her perception of self, and she starts to deny her Negro racial origin to an extent. And what then develops are strains in the relationships between her and her mother vis-a-vis this racial identity. A hatred that develops by the daughter, and it echoes the racial stereotyping that exists within the country, which is prevalent throughout, and many might say is still there today. So as a teenager, she then finds it very difficult to handle her emerging adolescence. and the problems with her mother become quite heightened. And her mother is very protective towards her daughter. She eventually then leaves home and gets involved in the seedy side of the entertainment business. She becomes a dancer, stroke call girl, and the impact on the mother is marked. Laura, however, very sympathetic towards Annie and to the situation that's developed, and she tries to help, but isn't prepared to neglect her own career aspirations, even at this stage. The young girl then runs off to Vegas, and her mother follows. We then see a number of scenes that are extremely intense and emotional, which highlight the main thrust of this movie, the racial stereotyping and the stigma attached to it. I found it quite a gripping movie, well directed by Cirque, and not dated really. So I would thoroughly recommend this one. Although it sort of tends to sort of start off on the wrong track, focusing on career for a young, attractive woman, white woman. But then we veer towards the issue of the African American via the teenager. And I thought that this was handled extremely well. So there we have it, Imitation of Life. It was released in 1959, directed by Douglas Sirk.